Hi, George here, and I'll be showing you how to make a pattern brush here inside of Photoshop Elements. And I'm basing this on an email that just went out from Adobe, where they have this tips and tricks video on how to create a custom pattern brush, but a lot of what's in their video is basically wrong. So let's just go ahead and take a look at how this is done. Now they use this picture here, and they create this flower image here. Now I couldn't find an exact match for that, but I found one that was close enough. So if you've seen this, here's the right way to do this. Now, I wasn't able to find the exact pictures that Adobe used, so we'll use this one for the girl, and I found this flower picture over here over on Pixabay. And then I went ahead and I repainted this to match the flower that they used. Let me bring that up. Recent file list right here. Here we go. This is just a repaint of that flower. And this matches the colors exactly that they used. So far, so good. Now this is to get the magic wand from the quick selection toolbar, which doesn't exist. There is nothing called the quick selection toolbar. What they meant was you go up here and the default one's going to say quick selection tool. In the regular toolbar, click on that, and then down here in the options panel, you'll find the magic wand right here. Notice once I click on this, up here it changes to show the magic wand. So it's the bottom right hand corner of the little select section here in the regular toolbar where you find all these different selection tools. So you want the magic wand. Now I have my tolerance set pretty high here. The default is 32. I'll put this at 32. I have mine set for contiguous and anti-aliasing. Contiguous just means touching, so everything has to somehow connect with what you're clicking on. And anti-aliasing is going to be smoothing out the edges, and this is very important when you're working with the magic wand to smooth those edges. The magic wand likes making rough, jaggy edges. And that's something else that they didn't mention in the video, which I think is very important, is you want to have a good-sized image in here. This one is over 700 pixels. It's about 720 pixels wide. So it's a good-sized image. That also helps to cut down on any roughness on your edges. So have a very large image. That really helps. If you're using a small image, you're going to get real jagged edges and it's going to look just awful. So a good sized image is important. Okay, at that point, they click in the middle and that's fine. They then go up here to this little button. This brings up your adjustment layers and your fill layers. You can find the exact same thing up here under layer and right here, fill layer and adjustment layer. That's what that button over here is bringing up. And they went for a solid color and that's fine. It'll show you your current foreground color, so it could be anything in here depending upon what you had last. We want this at black, so to do that, just drag the dot down to the bottom left-hand corner, or just type in all zeros right down here, 6 zeros, and that gives you a complete black. And what that does is it gives you a fill layer, which has a mask on it, and it's filled with the black. The next step is just to hide the background layer. Just do that. There we go. Hide the background layer. And you're left with this fill layer with that layer mask in the shape of the flower. So that's all correct. Only thing really about that whole section to watch out for is what I mentioned about the magic wand, larger size image, and the anti-aliasing. And that should be okay. Let's now convert this into a brush. When you do this technique, you'll be over here on the layer mask side. Notice that light blue outline? You need to be over here on this side of the layer for this to work. So click over here, look for that light blue outline. It has to be on this side. At this point, the Adobe tutorial made a selection around the flower. It's our marquee tool, just like that, because they had too much background showing. They wanted to bring it down close to the flower. We're fine, so we don't need that step. I'll just delete that. And then go up to the Edit menu, come down to Define Brush, and give it a name. Maybe I'll call it Adobe Flower Power. Choose OK, and there's our brush. We now can use this over on our picture. Let's go ahead, we'll do that. So here's our new image, and here's our brush right there. You can see that. Now, before we do anything else, let's make a new layer up here. Hit the new layer button, and we'll put all of our flowers on our new layer here so we don't mess up with our original background. And just as a safety, like I always like to do, right-click on your background, duplicate that layer, choose OK, and hide the original just in case things get messed up. We have our original saved in here. So go back up here to our new layer 1. And now if I just tapped in here, it would basically stamp that flower shape right onto the image. Notice that comes in as the foreground color. I'll use Control Z to back out of that. Let's first make our brush size smaller. Either use the size control down in the options panel or the left square bracket. That's fine. Now at this point, Adobe said in their tutorial, go over here, grab the eyedropper tool, come in, choose a color, go back to the brush tool, and then stamp in your flower. That's a couple steps you don't have to do. Control Z to back out of that. There we go. Let's put this back to black in the foreground. All you have to do is hold the Alt key down, and there's your eyedropper. Go ahead and click on your color. Let go of the Alt key, and you're back to the brush again. So you don't have to change tools. Just use that Alt key. Much faster. Let's change our color in here. Hold the Alt key down. I'll choose a different color like that orange right here. Let's put one up there. There we go. Maybe one down over here someplace. So pretty easy to stamp in individual colors and very easy to come in and choose different colors off of your image just by holding down that Alt key. Let's just grab that. That's kind of off the dress in there. Now the other thing that they showed was a streak of flowers that had nice spacing on them. And you can do that easily as well. Now this part of their demonstration was correct. Come down to brush settings, down to spacing in here, pull this over to the right, and you see the spacing changes down there in the brush sample. I'll pull it over just a little bit like that. There we go. This gives you space when you make your brush strokes. Let's bring our brush size down. Again, left square bracket. And I'll choose a bright color. Again, just hold the Alt key down and choose your color. And then if you paint like this, it's just going to come in and space those apart, just like we set up right down below here. So as you can see, great idea. It's a fun way to make a pattern brush. I really like the whole concept of doing pattern brushes. I've used these before in some videos, but there were a few steps that Adobe just did it the hard way, and there were easier ways to do that. So there you go. That's the right way to make a pattern brush here inside of Photoshop Elements. Now, if we go over here to brushes, here's our brushes. This is going to be coming at the bottom of your default brush set. If you want to make sure you can keep that, this is important, go up here, click on this little eyedropper. You have two options, Save Brush and also Save Brushes. Now, Save Brush is going to just be making another copy of this brush for you, but it will have the current settings. It'll have the spacing like this. It just makes another brush like that. Choose Save Brush, choose OK. And there's a new brush saved with that spacing in here. If you want to save the whole set, and I recommend doing this, go over here, click on the three dots again, come down to Save Brushes, and then save this template so you know where it is. I'll put it in my Photoshop Brushes folder. I just made this myself. It's nothing that comes with Windows or comes with Photoshop Elements. I just made a folder, called it Photoshop Brushes. And you can save it right down here. And I'll just rename this, and I'll call it Flower Brushes. And choose Save. And I now have this brush set saved. So if this happens to go back to the default brushes, which will happen when you close down, reopen, change brushes, whatever, you can easily lose that. So if I lose the brush, just come over here, click on the three dots, come down to Load Brushes. And let's find that brush that we just saved. It's right in here. It'll be down here somewhere. Here we go. Flower Brushes. Click on that and load that one. And that loads the one that we just saved. If you want to learn how to use Photoshop Elements the right way, then take a look at my complete training courses. You'll find the link for my How to Gurus website right down there at the bottom of the screen and also at the top of my description. Click on that and you'll find all of my Photoshop Elements training courses right there. I have a different course for each version of Photoshop Elements. Going back for quite a few versions. You'll also find training there for other programs such as Adobe's Lightroom program. And it's also where you're going to be finding my Photoshop Elements Photo Coach, which is a great interactive help system which will answer all the questions you have about working with Photoshop Elements without having to watch a bunch of videos trying to find the answer that you want. It's all there. It's all text-based, lists, how-tos, step-by-steps. It's all in that program. Okay, make sure you hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. Also, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and I'll see you next time.